First of all, thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
I decided to make the Siyum, one, because just as something to celebrate, two, just to have everybody here and eat food.
Okay.
So first of all, there's just a little bit about why I started Tractate Rosh Hashanah. On Shavuos night, there was a bunch of shiurim at Young Israel New Rochelle, and between them we had a bit of time. So it was me, Pacey was there, Manu was there, I think Nunu was there, and we asked Rabbi Fink for a suggestion. So he guided us to do Rosh Hashanah, the Mishnah. So that night we learned Parag Aleph of the Mishnah. And then I remember that towards the end of the school year, Rabbi Moskowitz said something to me. He said, you can't go 2 months without learning. You can't go 2 months without learning Torah. Just because Gemara is ending in school doesn't mean it should just be ending, and we shouldn't learn Gemara until school year next year. So because of that, so that was in the back of my mind. And then on the first few days of camp, my chinuch head at Morashah was saying he was giving a little shiur about why do Jews not learn Gemara as much when really we should? We really should be learning. So why don't we? Is that MHJ?
Probably.
So I decided, I am going to learn. So I went to the Baby Josh and I took out the Sefer and art scroll because of English. And then I decided, what am I going to learn? I might as well learn Rosh Hashanah because I already learned the first parak of the Mishnah. So I want to just give thanks to Rabbi Fink, Rabbi Moskowitz, and also for Pin. Once I finished the Gemara, if I wouldn't have made the Siyum if it wasn't for him. So Rosh Hashanah, Masechet Rosh Hashanah is about a few things. Parag Aleph is mostly about the different Rosh Hashanahs during the year. The first line says Arba'a Rosh Hashanah. There's 4 Rosh Hashanah. There's 4 different New Years. One of them, as you know, is the one that's coming up 2 weeks from now. It's the beginning of the year for when the world was created. The Gemara also gives examples. For example, the New Year for the kings is on the 1st of Nisan, which means that if a king became king on the last day of Adar, on the 30th of Adar, or the 29th of Adar, depending on the year, then it would be 1 year of him being king from the next day, from the 1st of Nisan. So that's what the first parak is about. It's about the different Rosh Hashanahs. Second parak talks about what to do. It talks about the Beis Din, the court, seeing the new moon to see the new month. It talks about things like if a witness sees that the new month has begun by seeing the new moon, it says whether or not the witness is allowed to break Shabbos to go over to the court and say, I saw a new moon, and to testify. It also says things like, for example, if a witness from another town doesn't know anybody from the court, he has to bring somebody to assure that he is a real witness and not somebody trying to make the Jews confuse their calendar system. So that's most of what Parak Sheni speaks about. Parak Shlishi and Parak Revi'i both talk about the actual holiday of Rosh Hashanah that we know. It talks about the shofar, the laws of which shofars you can use, and the laws of what make a shofar kosher or not. For example, if you take the thin end of a shofar and you carve it out so it's really the thick end, it's not kosher anymore. It gives examples like that. It also talks about the Musaf prayer that we say on Rosh Hashanah. It talks about how long to blow the shofar for in terms of what types of blasts there are and which ones we do. It talks about how we know where the verses come from for each blessing. So, and towards the end of the last Mishnah, Rabban Gamliel gives an opinion that's going to come up in a little bit. He says that if the person leading the davening, the shaliach tzibor, the person leading the congregation, he can make everybody else there fulfill their obligation. So just remember that's Rabban Gamliel's opinion. So first I'm going to read through the rest of the Gemara. Then I'm going to say the Hadran. I'm going to say Kaddish. Then I left it in the other room, but I'm going to read the first Mishnah of Masechas Megillah, and then we'll eat.
Ooh. Yeah.
All right. Amar Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar said, Le'olam yasdir adam tfilato ve'achar כך yitpalel. A person should always go through what they're about to daven, and only then should so that they should know all of the words, and only then should they actually daven. Amar Rabbi Abba said, Istabra militai de Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar's statement is reasonable. Bebrachot shel Rosh Hashanah, v'shel Yom Kippurim, v'shel Prakim. In regard to the prayers of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and other special occasions, other holidays, because you might not know those tefillos, so you should go through them before and look through all the words, that you don't make an error when you're davening. Aval dechol Hashanah lo, but for the rest of the year, it's not really reasonable to say that you should every day be going through what you're about to say before you say it, because you say it almost every day, so you should be familiar with it. So the Gemara has a question about that part. Eini, is that really true? V'hal Rav Yehuda misader tzlotei umitzalei. But Rav Yehuda would always go through the prayer before he davened, and every single time he prayed, even on a weekday. So the Gemara answers, Shani Rav Yehuda, it's shonet. It's different in the case of Rabbi Yehuda. Kevan dematlatin yomin letelatin yomin hava mitzalei. Because he would only pray once every 30 days. He would only daven once every 30 days. Rashi explains that Rabbi Yehuda was always so engrossed in learning. He would always be learning. He would be learning all the time. So much so that he wouldn't even be able to have a break. The only time he would have a break to daven would be once every 30 days when he was reviewing everything that he had learned for the past 30 days. But the rabbis say, if you're that engrossed in learning, you don't even have to take a break to daven. So, kifrakim dami. So when he davens, it's almost like a special occasion. So that's why he would go through the prayer before he says it. So the Gemara goes back to what I said about Rabban Gamliel, which is that the person leading the davening can fulfill the obligation of everybody else there. Amar Rav Acha bar Avira, Amar Rabbi Shimon Chasida. Rabbi Acha bar Avira said in the name of Rabbi Shimon Chasida, Poter haya Rabban Gamliel afilu am shebasadot. Rabban Gamliel used to exempt even the people that were working in the field from davening. People that were working in the fields, they couldn't make it to shul. So he said that the person that's leading the davening, the shaliach tzibor, even he can make them fulfill their obligation, even though they're not even in shul. So the Gemara has a question about why Rabban Gamliel says this, even for the people of the field. V'lo mibaya hani d'kai mahava. This implies that it's unnecessary to say that the people in the shul are exempt from praying. So why would he say that? Can it really be true that by saying that the people that are in the fields are even the people in the fields are exempt, the people in shul are exempt? Adarabba. Actually, it's the opposite. Hani anisai. The people who are in the fields are forced to get prayer because they're working. Hani lo anisai. But the people in shul are in shul because they're not forced to skip working, so they could daven. So then you should think that only the people in the fields should be exempted by the shaliach tzibor, by the head of davening. Detani Abba b'rei de Rav Binyamin bar Chia. For Abba, the son of Rabbi Binyamin bar Chia, taught in the Brisa. Am she'acharei kohanim. The people that are standing behind the kohanim during Birkat Kohanim, during the blessing of the kohanim, einan bichlal beracha. They're not included in the in the blessing of Birkat Kohanim, because they could have stood in front of them to receive the bracha, but they chose not to be, even though they couldn't. So that raises the question of, are the people in shul that could be davening, are they exempt from davening also, according to Rabban Gamliel? So the Gemara goes back. Ella ki ata Ravin. Rather, when Ravin came to Babylonia, to Babel. Amar Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi, Amar Rabbi Shimon Chasida. He said in the name of Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi, who said in the name of Rabbi Shimon Chasida, Lo patar Rabban Gamliel ella ambasadot. Rabban Gamliel only exempted the people that were in the fields. He only exempted the people that couldn't come. Mishum da'ani sebel malacha, because they're forced by their job they're forced by their job to miss davening. So for that reason, they couldn't make it. Aval ba'ir lo. But the people that live in the town, in the city, that could make it to davening, they're not exempted by the shaliach tzibor. So that's the Hadran Allah Yom Tov Usalik Allah Masachet Rosh Hashanah. Hadran alach masechet Rosh Hashanah v'hadrach alan. Datan alach masechet Rosh Hashanah v'datach alan. Lo nit neshay minach masechet Rosh Hashanah v'lo nit neshay minan. V'lo be'alma hadain v'lo be'alma datay. Yihirato mefanacha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu shetehei Toratcha emunatenu ve'olam hazeh utehei imanu ve'olam haba. Chanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Surachav bar Papa, Ada bar Papa, Daru bar Papa. Revna Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Tortcha b'finu b'fifot amcha beit Yisrael v'nihiyeh anachnu v'tzetzeinu v'tzetzei amcha beit Yisrael kulanu yodei shemecha v'lomdei Tortecha lishma me'oyevai techachmeni mitzvotecha kilo lam hili yehi libi tamim b'chukecha laman lo evot leolam lo eshkach b'kudecha ki bam chiti Kitani Baruch Atah Adonai Lamedeni Chukacha Amen 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 Salava'et. Modim anachnu lefenecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu shesamta chalkenu me'yoshvei beit hamidrash ve'lo samta chalkenu me'yoshvei karano. She'anu mashkivim ve'hei mashkivim. Anu mashkivim l'divrei Torah ve'hei mashkivim l'dvarim v'telim. Anu amelim ve'hem amelim. Anu amelim u'mekavlim sachar ve'hem amelim ve'enam mekavlim sachar. Anu ratzim ve'hem ratzim. Anu ratim l'chayei ha'olam haba v'hem ratim liver shachad. Shneimar ve'atah Eloheinu to redeem liver shachad. Anshrei damim u'meruma yechetzu yemehem ve'ani avtachbach. Yehiraso l'fenecha Adonai Elohai keshem she'azartani l'sayem masechet Rosh Hashanah came to Azreinu lehaschil masechtot usfarim acherim u'lisayman u'lomod u'lelamed Lishmor v'lasot u'lekayem et kol divrei Talmud Toratcha be'ahava u'lehut kol hatanayim ve'amorayim v'talmidei chachamim ya'amod li'ulazari shelo tamush ha'torah u'mipi zari v'zera zari ad olam v'tit kayem bi b'hit halecha tanchei ota v'shaftecha tishmor alecha v'hakitzota hi tisichecha Ki v'yirbu yamecha v'yisofu lecha shenot chayim. Orech yamim v'yimina v'smola osher v'chavod. Adonai oz le'moiten, Adonai v'arach et amod l'shalom. Stand for God. Yikadal v'yikadash merabah. Ve'almadi hu atid le'atchadata le'achayah me'taya u'le'asaka yaton le'chayei alma u'lemivnei Kartag Yushalem, Ulechshach Lala, Hechle Begava, Ulemekar, Palchana Yukraa Min Ara, Vela'atava, Palchana Dishamaya La'atre, Ve'amli Kudusha, Bichu, Ve'malkute, Ve'krei, Ve'chayachoni, Ve'machon, Ve'chaydacho Beit Yisrael, Ba'gulazman Kri V'Murame.
Amen. Yeishmeir Rabom Barak V'Lam
Yeheshmir Abam Barak Lo Amalo Mel Mayai. Barak Vishvat Vitra Vitrovani Yasei Vitadar Vitalavi Talash Mei B'Gushab B'Flo. Leilam Gober Chatav Yishur Tatu Tvakatab Menachem Atadam Ram Ve'Amav V'Murame.
Amen.
Ayisrael Ve'al Rabbanan Ve'al Tamideon Ve'al Kol Tamideon Ve'Kol Man De'askim V'Raita Diva Atrat Hadein Ve'Kol V'Di B'Kol Atar Ve'Atar Yehelach Le'Chon Ve'Lechon Shlam Araba China Ve'Chista Ra'achamim Ve'Chayin Arichen U'Mizone Rebiche Ufir Kanal Min Kadam Avon Dibishmaya V'Yamurame. Yehesh Lamarab Michamaya Ve'Chayin Le'Lein Ve'Al Israel V'Murame.
Amen.
Osashal V'Murab Huya Sashal Le'Lein Ve'Al Israel V'Murame.
Amen. Shkoch.
Alright, should I go get?
Yes.
Alright, so now I'm gonna go read the first Mishnah of Masechet.
I thought it was over.
Who? Alright, this is the first Mishnah of Masechet Megillah.
Sit.
Sit.
Megillah, you create B'Yud Aleph, B'Yud Bet, B'Yud Gimel, B'Yud Aleph, B'Yud Tet Vav, Lo Tachot V'Lo Yoter. I'm not going to be translating this, I'm just reading it. Kirakin Hamukafin, Kolma Miyamot, Yoshua Ben Nun, Korin B'Tet Vav. Kifarim V'Ayarot, Gedolot, Korin B'Yadal. Ela Shehakefarim Makdimin Leyom HaKnisa. כיצד? יכול להיות גדלת בשני כפרים ועיירות גדולות קורי. בו ביום ומוקפות חומה למחר. יכול להיות בשלישי או ברביעי כפרים מקדימים ליום הכניסה. ועיירות גדולות קוראים בו ביום ומוקפות חומה למחר. יכול להיות בחמישי כפרים ועיירות גדולות קוראים בו ביום ומוקפות חומה למחר. יכול להיות ערב שבת כפרים מקדימים ליום הכניסה. ועיירות גדולות ומוקפות חומה קוראים בו ביום. יכול להיות בשבת כפרים ועיירות גדולות מקדימים וקוראים ליום הכניסה ומוקפות חומה למחר. יכול להיות אחר בשבת כפרים מקדימים ליום הכניסה ועיירות גדולות קוראים בו ביום ומוקפות חומה למחר. End of the first section.
Beautiful.